what is going on. Let's see if we get the pen out. Okay, this is going to be reviewing the pattern rec for week 1. We're going to go over the bullish ones first. So we have the open bell bearish consolidation and go. This pattern we saw on Thursday and Friday. This one gave me a lot of trouble on Thursday. First time kind of seeing it in a while where we were having stuff become bearish out of the gates, hold a support level, and then push. So in this case, we want to look for the first probably like 5 to 10 minutes. What we want to see for this kind of pattern is 2 or 3 bearish candles, and then we want to see it hold a support level. So in this case, this one isn't the best one, but this one held it for 1 minute, dipped down, and then started to push back up. This one would be more difficult, but we'll go over to the next one. This is a more clear example. First 2 minutes are too bearish. We have this kind of hold, and then we have a attempt to go lower. It stays on this one right here. This is a telltale sign. We get this dip below, and it holds. That's a good entry point, and then from there to there is a good little trade. Another example, this is why you want to wait a little bit. This one a little more tricky with some more wicks, but again, we want to be patient with this and kind of add near the support line. Another example, this one's a little bit tricky where it did hold, but then it started to push upwards. To me, if I was trying to take a trade on this, I would have probably waited for this to maybe come back down and retest this 430 mark, but overall that was a good little push. The downtrend, uptrend, hold. This one is a lot easier to predict. This one is just, we're in a downtrend, so pre-market highs are probably like up here somewhere. We're kind of fading or flat into open. We have, so these ones come with the previous trend where we have this consolidation down low, and we want to start to build out a uptrend for this particular stock. So in this example, we actually thought about taking it here. We wanted to dip down further. We actually didn't get this, or we may have, I forget, but we slammed it on this because if it was going to hold, it was going to push. That's exactly what happened. So once we get this uptrend, we want to let the stock come down, hit it, sustain it, and then add into it. Hoth was a little more difficult. With halts, I like to stay away from this kind of stuff, but it did. So we have, this is our first, so we don't know there's an uptrend. This is our second touch. And I guess one could say here, it's still not as clean, and I don't really love this type of price action, but still, it kind of technically still worked in this example. This one is a pretty clean example as well, where we have, if we count this as, we could count this as 2, but you know, we gotta start thinking about it. Nice second touch here. We get a hold. This would be, for me, right here would be a great add. And then here is a little bit difficult, but if you see this start to come back up, I would have added 2 around here for a nice little gain. APLD, another example of this, where we have this consolidation. Here's our second point. Here's first one, second. This is where we want to add. So this one was very similar to the previous one where it dips down, second touch, did a little double bottom kind of move. And then pushed. And then had actually another touch here, which is pretty good. VWAP reclaim. These ones usually happen, I don't know, midday. And there really, for me, isn't a pattern that I can fully get behind other than this uptrend right here. So you have to wait later in the day. It's below VWAP. We kind of base out. We get this uptrend. And this flag below VWAP right here is kind of the key to success. If we are trading this long, personally, we are out of the market usually by like here. So most of these patterns tend to happen closer to noon or midday, but it is something I want to note. And then we have a hold and then a nice push here. This is another example where we're fading. It finds a bottom here. We get this uptrend. We get this like little flag right here, right below VWAP, and a huge push. So if we catch one of these, I'm all down for it, but just they're more likely to be later in the day. This one, um, that was a fucking terrible line. Whatever, we get the point. There was no real flag here. This one just kind of went and then held. This was a early day example of this. I'm not too big on this anymore. After the end of last week, we saw a lot of just failing under VWAP, so I would take a stab, but I wouldn't go Dragon Ball Z on it. Key level hold. We didn't see much of this week where we have, 1 year level holds or daily support levels or gap fill areas. This one did it. This one was also a previous runner. So to me, most of the times on previous runners, you get this kind of price action and then you get this fail. So I really wasn't paying too much attention to it. By the time I did, it was already kind of too late. 1.9 EMA wave. This one is just if we're in a stock and we want to be dicey with it, we can let it ride out. We only saw one this week. A couple weeks ago, this pattern was happening all over. In a very bullish market, this is a nice system to follow. Currently, I'm not going to really follow this until I see more bullishness in our markets. Inside 5 flag. This one is a fan favorite, super easy to point out. We have a 5-minute flag. We have a break of that 5-minute flag, and the first dip back down to kind of like this support area where this consolidation was happening, where this previous resistance was at. That's where you want to take a stab, and then we get this. So you're not going to get the biggest push, but consistently wise and percentage wise, it's a great area to add. But it's pretty much like a cup and handle. Here is it again. We have a break of this 5-minute flag, a push up, this dip, we want to add this dip. This one was super clean, another cup and handle type play. Sometimes these don't get up to the previous high, and sometimes they're like in between, but I still just call them inside 5 flags. Double bottom flag. This is a pretty simple one. These tend to happen again past 10:30. Earlier in the day, we like to avoid double bottom flags. Most of these I think happen after 10. This was kind of low volume, but if we start to see stuff like this that has a little bit more volume, I'm fine taking some monies with that. This one was just a weird stock, so I don't really like to give it too much attention. Double bottoms here. See, this is where the volume is nice. And ASST. Dip the previous high. This one, we didn't have a lot of sustained momentum like this ticker. This was kind of a one-off for a day one ticker that just kind of continual grinds for the first hour, 2 hours of the day. Most of the times we're getting pops initially and then fails, or we're getting something along the lines of this, a fail and then like a midday push and then fail. So for this to kind of hold, hopefully maybe going into Monday next week we get more of this, but super clean. You break, you come back, you dip, you go. All right, getting into the bearish patterns. 1 year resistance. We've had several stocks that are either above or below it never tends to work out. So I like to avoid the 1 year patterns. VWAP breakdown. This one is like for later in the day if it's already kind of made a move and we get bigger volume, just to kind of ignore it until it pops back up. So that's like a pedal off the gas for me. Pedal off the gas until we get another flag here. Again, this one doesn't have a whole lot of volume, but it's just more or less no buyers. Jesus Christ, no buyers are stepping up there. Another break. This one has a little bit more volume. Open bell, high day, and fade. This was prevalent early on in the week where the market opens, we have a quick push over to high day or like a double top area, and then it just fades. We saw a ton of this. This is why I want to avoid going too heavy real early in the day for stuff like this, because if it starts to not go, then I'm out. Another example. Great, another example. And we get the point. Key level break. This is just like if we're over a 200, we're over a daily level to kind of back off. It's similar to a VWAP break as well. Double top, we saw a lot of these today as well, or this week as well. A lot of like pushes, flat consolidations, and double tops, so just be aware of that. It's another double top. This one, not for me, it's not truly a double top, because for a double top to happen, it usually has to kind of push down a little further and come back up. But to me, if it's like a bullish flag and it doesn't break down or it doesn't break out, then still kind of consider it. Another little example. Vertical and fade. So one thing to point out about VWAP breaks is when we have this, 0 to 60 in 1 second move, it tends to just fade away. Fade away. Fade away. So if something makes a huge move, just to kind of be careful. Key level fail, self-explanatory. Multi-days just to keep up, down. Stay away from multi-days from back-to-back runners is kind of the key point there. All right. So this is the official breakdown. As we can see, there really isn't a... Where's my pen? Where is my pen at? Here. Okay. We can see... Oh my God. Open bell, bears consolidation, downtrend, uptrend, VWAP reclaim, double bottom flag. We're getting a spread of, even this one, we're getting a spread of bullish patterns. This week was kind of all over the place. We still, if I could label it as like a number between 1 and 10 for bullishness, I'd probably give it like a 5. It was choppy as far as patterns go, consistency wise. And then for bearish, at least with the bearish patterns, I felt they were more consistent. Like if we saw an open bell high day push and a fade, it kind of stayed true to that. It did switch halfway through the week into different kind of bullish patterns. So that is something to consider. So Monday, there really isn't something I'm going to like look for. There were things that ended the week that I want to see, but we're going to take these bullish tickers into next week and see what plays out. And I think we're good to go. Here is to a good week.